Okay, welcome back. Now, if you've just finished that video, you'll notice that this is a fairly typical love story. But you'll notice some commonalities as we go on with some other types of stories as well. This follows that three-act structure where we have a beginning, a middle, and an end. In this case, this is what we call the boy meets girl story, where a boy meets a girl, then the boy maybe loses the girl, and in the end, the boy gets the girl. These are fairly typical. However, this doesn't just apply to romantic books, films, and plays. This is the basic story structure all over. Now, you can have things like Harry Potter. Harry Potter, we're introduced to him. He goes to a school. He has many adventures, and he emerges a different person than when he began. This is the basic, what we call hero's journey. This follows the three-act structure. So to get you started here, I'm going to introduce you to some of the points for the first part. Act 1, the setup. There are a few terms that I want to introduce you to before we go on, just so that you're familiar with what we're going to be talking about. We start with, obviously, the introduction. Now, for most stories, the main character, the person that we're following in the story, is usually referred to as the protagonist. Then there's another term called exposition. Exposition is background information. This is the way for the story to tell you, the viewer or the reader, to decide whether or not you like the story. They give you a lot of information, usually in the beginning, so that you understand who the characters are and what's likely to happen in the rest of the story. Now, in this case, the exposition is delivered with pretty much the only real talking in the entire video. All right, after we have the main characters, some of the supporting characters, and then the exposition out of the way, we will usually have the inciting incident. The inciting incident goes ahead and starts the story. That's when the story really begins. So there is always some sort of inciting incident that we say kickstarts or begins the story. Another word for the inciting incident could be the hook. Lots of times you'll hear it referred to as the hook. Now, after that, we have second thoughts. This is very, very common. The protagonist or the main character often has to spend just a little while deciding, will they begin the journey or not? This slight hesitation is referred to as second thoughts. They can't decide whether or not to begin a journey that will take and change them throughout the course of the story. All right? Okay, now as we end this beginning of the story, we almost always have some sort of plot point. Something will come up to further the story and to leave Act 1 or the setup behind. Okay, let's go ahead and take a finer look at this here. First, we have the introduction to the character. This is Jason, okay? Then we also, later a little bit, we're going to be meeting Stacy. So we know that this is their story. We realize, of course, that Jason is our protagonist. Next, we learn about Jason. Why is he alone? Is he with anybody? Does he have a girlfriend? What is going on with him? They do that by showing you this. Let's take another look at that scene.
Jason, it's your mother. Your father and I are here with Uncle Pete and Auntie Sally. Everyone's been asking about you. We all miss you so much. How is everything in the city? Oh, I bet you're having an amazing time surrounded by all those people. Call us when you get in. You're probably out partying with friends.
Or girlfriends.
Your father's being silly again. Anyway, call us. We love you.
Okay, so in that scene there with the answering machine, you get exposition. You learn about Jason, who he is, why he is alone, and if he has any love in his life, a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Okay? All right. Next, then we have the inciting incident. This is where the story really starts. The girl in the window suddenly looks back at him and says, "Take a photo." Now, if you don't know, take a photo is if someone looks at you for a very long time, you can tell them, "Hey, take a photo." You can look at it longer. It's kind of rude, but also funny. It's a well understood joke that, "Hey, 你管我," okay? Okay, so now at this point, the main character, Jason, has to make a decision. Ooh, what do I do now? Do I begin a relationship? Do I start to talk to this person? So he isn't sure what or not he should be doing. All right? You can see he doesn't quite know what to do there. All right, then she just tells him that, "I'm kidding. It's good." Now our story begins. We have been introduced to the main characters. We know his basic story. We're ready to move forward here. And there you have it. That's Act 1, the setup. We know what's going on. Let's go ahead and take a look at where that fits on the chart. So, Act 1, we do have beginning, we meet the boy. Then we have exposition, where we get to learn that he's alone in the city, far away from his family, and he's looking for love. All right, so after that, we are introduced to Stacy, who creates the inciting incident. Then Jason, he has to decide what to do. Then he finally responds and says, "Nice to meet you," and we begin Act 2. And that's it. That is Act 1, the setup.